Welcome to the D&D Fitness Radio podcast, brought to you by your hosts, Don Saladino from New York City and Derek Hansen from Vancouver, Canada.
I think there's a handful of people in the industry that I think are multifaceted, right? Like you'll speak to strength coaches and they're all strength coaches, and they don't really have that coolness factor to them where you're like, all right, I want to go hang out with this person, right?
No. If anything, you might want to get away from them.
Yeah, you might want to get away from them. Like Luca's like one of the handful of people that I put into the category of like he wears several hats. Like, you know, he's a beast in the gym. He can move. He could walk the walk, right? He could definitely kind of put his he could put some weight behind the stuff he's teaching, which I think is important. But then on the other hand, to see the community he built, and I think the brick and mortar business is not an easy business to be in, and to see how he's developing these kind of marketing platforms and he's going off doing what he's doing, I'm really impressed by him. I think he's a great person. I'd have him out here. I'd hang out with him. Like I'd go party with him. Like he's just one of those people where, you'd want to do several things. And I think to be like what we call in baseball is a 5-tool player. I think there's very few that are 5-tool players in the industry. And I think he is a 5-tool player. So I got big things to say about him. Great dude. And I'm happy you guys, like when you and I talked, I think you were asking me, like, I'm thinking about, I want to go teach. And didn't I say Luca?
Yeah, you did. Like I said, like, hey, these other people want me to come down. I don't know much about them. You're like, why don't you just call Luca, right?
Yeah, because I knew something was going to be scheduled within a week. Because Luca's going to jump on it. He's going to look at an opportunity and he's going to say, all right, cool. And I was even like little things, like when I was flying, like what I was saying earlier, like when I was flying out there, he's like, we'll cover your flights. I didn't want to hit him up for my business class ticket or whatever it was. I was just like, Luca, I'll pay the difference. And he didn't even answer me. And he just paid the whole ticket. It's just like little things that you just appreciate. He just gets the game. He gets the game. So
he wasn't thinking, like, he even talked about that. He's like, look, I'm going to do this event. Whatever. I just want to get it done. I want to do it right. And he just said, I didn't even think about consequences, and you still make money. You're like, hey, great. And I think that's the attitude you want. And here's a perfect example. You'll love this. He said, oh, I'm free on Thursday. I'm training, or Friday, I'm training with the strength coach from so-and-so from the Seattle Sounders soccer team. Right. And I didn't know who that was at the time. I knew some people from there, but so I'm like, yeah, come down. Turns out the strength coach for the Seattle Sounders is a female. Her name's Megan Young. I know her from before. She was at Tennessee, and she's been around, big, strong girl. And so he's training with a female strength coach, and they're like doing bench. They're doing, all these different things, and they're working out.
It wasn't Kaiser, was it?
No. Who's that?
She was. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was a woman. You said it was a female strength coach.
Yeah, female strength. Her name's Megan Young.
Okay, different one. I'm sorry. I didn't hear that part.
On Instagram, it's like her tag is Mega Strong, but she's very cool, very nice person, but she gets after it too. She's like lifting some decent weight there, and they're working out together. I'm like, how many male strength coaches would do that? Like, hey, come on, let's work out together. I got some free time. And
I think it's awesome. I think it's awesome. And I think this is the way the industry, this is kind of where we need to go. I mean, I could pull in a handful of women right now that would absolutely humiliate most guys. No, seriously, from a movement standpoint, for being explosive, for being, having a level of strength and a level of work ethic. I mean, it's incredible. I mean, I've worked out with a lot of them to where they'll come in and I'm pushing them, they're pushing me. I mean, it's phenomenal. I mean, this industry is just evolving. I mean, it's evolving, for the good and for the bad. But when you start seeing certain people like yourself, or like Luca, or like my buddy Jordan, right? Jordan Shallow, or Charlie, and you see these people evolving. Like Charlie's evolved. Like you wouldn't even recognize Charlie now from a decade ago. Like he's a different person. Just speaking to him, he's a different person.
That's good.
they're just things that, or there's ways that his delivery years ago, and it's just evolved and it's changed. And he always jokes around. He's like, one of the best lines I've learned from you, Don, is learn to play the game a little bit, right? Like rather just, it's the truth. Like what are we all trying to do here? We're all trying to be better every day at what we do. In a nutshell, that sums up you, me, Luca, Charlie, Jordan. Every day we are just trying to be better, whether it's at business, whether it's with family, our spouses, our life, our own fitness. We just want to be better. And when someone has that attitude, it starts becoming less and less about, what am I getting in return? I've been shooting content with this guy lately, Dr. Dwayne Jackson.
Yeah, we had him on. Yeah.
We had him on, and every week him and I get together for an hour and we shoot 2 topics. And he keeps thanking me because I'm putting him on. My platform right now is bigger than his. I believe in time they'll probably blow past mine. But he's like, thank you. I'm like, no, thank you. Like, this is great content for my channel. And man, am I learning a lot from you. Like we just did a whole talk yesterday on carb cycling. Then we did a whole talk on cannabis, because that's a huge topic nowadays. And all you kept hearing was, oh, the research behind it, it's testosterone and this and that. And let me tell you something. I heard some things yesterday that I didn't expect to hear. Really wild stuff. The benefits of it, right? Like maybe it's really coming down to the dosages. Maybe a lot of us are overdoing, or a lot of people out there are overdoing the dosages. And that's what's causing us to get the munchies or, do this and that. And you start hearing this stuff and you're like, wow, like this is going to be used to help people, not just from a medicinal merit. Someone has cancer, they need it for pain, but maybe from a recovery standpoint, like maybe from a sleep enhancement standpoint. Like there was some really interesting data about it. I was shocked on how much he knew. So for me, every week, to jump on a call with someone and sit there and absorb and learn, I get more geeked up about that now than I think I even did 20 years ago. Now I understand the value of it. That's just an opportunity on how we can get better and better.
Yeah. I mean, how did you meet him?
Jordan Shallow.
Okay.
So what happened was Jordan puts a post up of this guy one day, and I look at it, and he's, Dr. Dwayne Jackson. And I just clicked on, I went right to his page, and I started going down his posts, listening to him talk. And I'm like, wow, like, I just like this guy, like his delivery. I liked what he was talking about. I liked everything. I mean, there's not one thing he said to me so far where I was like, oh, well, that's ridiculous. I'm like, oh, wow, that makes sense. He was talking about the microbiome yesterday, and how, like, I have a theory that, like, everyone's like gluten-free, no wheat. And I'm like, yeah, I think that could become, unless you have celiacs or you have specific issues, I think that could become a problem if you keep avoiding certain things. I feel like it's good for the gut if we do expose ourselves to like micro dosages of these things here and there. I think it actually will help out the gut. And we're having a conversation yesterday. He's like, oh, 100%. He like goes into this whole rant on like scientific research and studies and his theories, and you're just like, wow, this guy's right. Like, it just makes sense. Sometimes you hear things and it just clicks and it makes sense, right? Like, I think that's probably one of your gifts. I think when you get in front of people, I think the stuff that you deliver isn't overbearing. It's not like I'm going to make this word up, science-y. It's not to the point where it's like, oh, and this and that and biomechanics. And I think you just start speaking and people are just like, oh my God, that just feels and looks right. And I think that's why it's so palatable, everything that you deliver. So I think certain coaches have that gift, very few, because I think a lot of them get too sciencey, and I think they deliver too much stuff, and I think they just lose people. So I think listening to someone like you have that gift. Someone like Luca has that gift. I think I've gotten that compliment a little bit in the past, where I make things very easily, attainable. It's
you know what it is. I think it is. I think we all of us just kind of got over ourselves, right? And you don't feel like you have to go that extra mile to impress people and
yourself.
Yeah, there's no ego. It's just sort of like, hey, here's an easy way for you to, like, this is how I figured it out. I didn't understand this before. And so like, I want to give you an easy way because I just want to cut out the middleman. Right. And I mean, this whole idea of ego, like, you know, I'm watching the Oscars and I had previously just watched an interview on CBC with Ryan Reynolds where they're talking to him about when he was a kid in Vancouver and how he used to work at this grocery store that I passed by every week. And it was just kind of cool to hear that, where he's like, hey, I used to do that. I used to work at the grocery store. I remember this person and that person. And you're like, okay, this guy's real. He's not trying to overcompensate. Right. And that kind of stuff is very cool. And then obviously, you know, you watch what happens on the Oscars, you're like, what the hell's going on? Something's wrong with that individual to have to do that. So yeah, I was interested to get your take on that too, because I just think people just get so caught up in themselves and their own stuff that they lose sense of what others, you know, can get from them. Right.
You don't know what, I mean, listen, I don't know him. I don't know Will Smith, and I've never met him. And he's obviously a very accomplished actor. I mean, I wasn't there watching, and I think the next day when it started jumping into my feed, you can't help but to just dive into it. And I think at first I thought it was just a spoof, right? And,
oh yeah.
And I've also tried to put myself in other people's shoes now and not be so judgmental to say, oh, like he completely screwed up. Like, listen, he screwed up. Like it's hitting someone. Violence is just, I don't know how anyone's going to argue with me on that. Like, the guy lost his cool and he went and he hit a man on one of the biggest stages in the world. Now, there've been plenty of times where I have gotten really emotional with myself and I've wanted to swing at someone and I haven't. Right? Like, no, let's face it. You're a human being. It's like you're walking to the subway and out of nowhere, some guy hits you from behind because you're carrying a bag and you're not moving fast enough. I'm not gonna, you turn around. Oh, sorry, sir. Like, go right ahead. Like, you're gonna get a bit emotional. Someone's talking about your wife who is, been struggling. I don't care whether, Chris, reverted to alopecia or not, or if he just reverted GI Jane. I'm sure, the guy got emotional. Who knows what's going on in his house? I don't know. But what I know is that, resorting to violence is like that is wrong. Doing it on the national stage like that is wrong. The example he set was wrong. But I can't sit there and I can't beat this guy up because I don't know the full picture. I'll never forget. I was in my dad years ago. Something happened to him where he had, I think he had like, I don't know if it was neck surgery or I was visiting him, and I got really emotional. I went and I played in a hockey game, and I got into a bad argument with a friend of mine, and it turned into some screaming, and I was wrong. I was emotional, but it was clear it was those emotions from that day. It was my mother. I can't even remember what it was, but something happened where one of them had to get rushed to the hospital, and I'm there with them. And, you're dealing with those emotions. Sometimes, you get thrown into an environment where the spark is already lit and someone throws gasoline onto it. And as a human being, you lose your cool. And a lot of us have, and I think we have to own it. We have to, take responsibility for it. What I think was sad about the whole thing is, there's a war going on right now. And that suddenly became world news. And I think it was someone on social media said something, and in a way, it's not funny, but it is at the same time. But he turned around on a post he put up. I don't remember the gentleman's name, but he says, and following the Will Smith incident, the Ukraine has been nuked. And he said that to be like, there's a war going on right now, and we have suddenly put this on. And obviously, Ukraine wasn't nuked, but he said this to show that, like, this is unbelievable. Like, suddenly, like, the U.S. stops. Everyone's talking about this, this Hollywood star who swings at another man. Which, in all fairness to Chris, I thought he handled himself.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Admirably. And I think that was incredibly embarrassing. And he could have pressed charges. On the other hand, why the academy didn't walk Will out also. I don't know why. I don't know. Did they try to? I heard they did, and he said no. What the hell is that? You know what I'm saying? You're being asked to leave. And is that even true? I don't know. You hear so many mixed things, but I just know that the punishment isn't always consistent anymore, right? I think we've realized this in today's day and age, that someone can do something, the other person can do the exact same thing, and the punishment isn't the same. And I mean, do you think that's right?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you probably had some clients there in the audience, and I'd be interested to hear those conversations that you probably will never repeat. But still,
no. And I'd be willing to say every one of them I've spoke to about it, they were really sad.
Yeah,
they were
sad,
really. I think it's so
disappointed.
bad. I think that's the best way to describe it. I think a lot of them that I did speak to, and I did not speak to all of them about it, maybe a few, they were just sad. I think they were feeling like, that was a year where there was a lot of diversification at the Oscars, and the Oscars was shining, and all this positive stuff was coming about. And then, this happens. And, I think they were sad, and I was sad. I really was. I mean, you've got two, people that are great at what they do, and that have made me laugh, and have made me, brought me emotionally, whether it's in a movie or it's a stand-up show, or even Chris Rock in some of his movies. And, it's just, to just see two people that are so great at what they do be, in that type of light, it does sadden you, especially when we're in a world right now where you want to see a lot more love, right?
Yeah. Well, and speaking of which, like you were in Europe. How was that whole thing? How did that feel? Obviously traveling there. But tell us about your trip.
Let me tell you something. I was blown away. I couldn't get over. We were in Austria and we were in Switzerland. It was me and a group of friends. We have a yearly trip, and it was fantastic. I was blown away with Austria and Switzerland from a skiing, snowboarding standpoint. I mean, it was just, the mountains were so different. The service, the food, everything about it was just so incredible. I'm sold on it. Like I literally cannot wait to get back there. Where, sometimes I found even recently going out west has been a bit of a challenge, right? Like had a lot of trouble in the airports, had a lot of difficulty with the commute, had difficulty with housing. The food situation has been an absolute nightmare. Going to Vail, Colorado in December and being on the mountain and can't sit down with your family to eat because they're shutting all the restaurants. We're unfortunately being up at Okemo with my family and not having a difficult time finding a place to eat lunch. That's, you're on vacation, you're spending family time. You don't want to go through that. And it was the complete opposite over in Europe. I mean, it was white tablecloth service for lunch, and the food was 5-star. The service was 5-star. The cost was perfect. I mean, where a lift ticket in the US is costing, anywhere from, I've seen as low as $120 to as much as $250. The lift tickets over there were $60.
Really?
And you were just getting so much. I was blown away. There wasn't one negative thing that I encountered in those 7 days that I was there. There wasn't one bad meal. The best meal that I've had in the United States on any mountain was nowhere near the worst meal that I had in Austria or Switzerland. I know, it really was. And I'm not, this is just the facts. Like if you're going in, like I'm not, USA, I live in this country. I love this country. I'm naming the facts here. I'm just saying that the food, the experience, it was just incredible. It was really, you got to tip your cap to.
What were some of the cities you were in?
Wow. So we landed in Zurich, and we got on that high-speed train, and we went, through Lake Geneva, and then we went to an area called the Arlberg region, and that has a bunch of mountains like Saint Anton, Saint Christophe, Zers, Lech, a whole bunch of these spots, and we we skied and snowboarded every single spot, which was amazing. We stayed in a place called Ischgl, which was about 40 minutes from St. Anton. And that was a party city, a lot of fun. Hotel was incredible, right on the mountain. It was just awesome. It was, well, honestly, I feel like it was one of those once in a lifetime experiences that if you have the opportunity to go and do it, you go do it. I was just, the only disappointment for me was the fact I wasn't there with my family.
Yeah.
I would love to take my family to an experience like that. But back, all good. Landed Sunday, back training, back on my nutrition Monday.
Any jet lag?
I started Monday, Tuesday. So it was interesting because when you fly back, you're up early, right? So
yeah,
I think it was getting up at like 4 a.m. and feeling pretty energized, right? Just trying to not go to bed, not too early. But right when I got back, I think I was in bed by 7:30, up by like 4 a.m. And I think for the first few days, I felt great. Wednesday night, I had a late meeting at my church, and that kind of beat me up a bit. I was like, oh my God, I was like falling asleep in the meeting. And then last night by 7:30, I was like crashing. But, all in all, feel good. Got a good run last night. I mean, 3 minutes into the run, I don't know if you ever start a run where 3 minutes into it, you're like, I don't know if I could do this today. And
yeah. And then something just changes with your cardiac rhythm or something, and you're like, oh, okay. Yeah.
And then you start pushing through it. And then I'm on the true form running for 30 minutes and I'm running at a faster speed and I'm starting to find it. I've also been running a lot more lately. Like even when I was in Europe, I ran 2 days. The one thing I wanted to do was I told myself, I said, I want to get 3 lifts in, right? I think at the very least, I want to get like an upper push, an upper pull, and a leg session. And I did that on 3 days. And then I got 3 cardio days. I did 2 jogs, like just treadmill jogs for 30 minutes, nothing intense, and then 1 incline walk. So I got 6 days where I was able to sweat. My main focus being away was just make sure I get my greens in every meal and make sure I'm staying hydrated. Protein's never a problem. I mean, yeah, you're having a couple of drinks every day, nothing crazy. But all in all, just making sure you're keeping the veggies and the water consumption high. And then getting back, just diving right into what I normally do and just, getting some good sweats. And I feel good. It's like it's Friday now and I feel, a little tired, but definitely feel back and ready to rock.
When you were there, did you, I assume you had a pretty busy schedule in terms of hitting the mountain and all that. How was your fitness there and just getting in and doing repeat runs? And
it was awesome. It's funny. We weren't typically here with my family. We're always like first tracks, like let's get up and get breakfast and go. Far from that. I mean, everyone slept to when they wanted to get up at, and I was getting up probably, I was getting up at, between 6 and maybe 7:30 every morning. And, then I would go to the gym and then I would go for breakfast and, maybe have a cup of coffee and go back and shower. And we were getting on the mountain between 10 and 11, right? Like let's say 10 o'clock and
yep.
you ski till about 2 and then you go have lunch. And the next, you're at lunch till 4:30. It was just fun. It wasn't like, it's just a different lifestyle. Like people there with their lunch and with relaxing. It's like, it's as much as about the opera. They call it the party, the lunch, as it is the skiing. So that to me, I wasn't used to, because normally we're going in, kids are eating some, we're shoving down some food and drinking some water and you're like back on the mountain hitting it. There, it's like you're sitting down, they're bringing you appetizers and they're bringing you a bottle of wine and they're pouring it into the decanter. And I'm like, what the hell is this? Like, this is awesome. Yeah. And the first day you're like, okay, is this? And then like by day 3, you're like, oh, great. Like the second you hit lunch, your day's over. At that point, we're going to have a 2-hour lunch. And then the decision is whether I want to take the gondola down or ski or snowboard down, which I would always snowboard down cautiously, of course.
I could just picture you like having a meal and there's like a string quartet playing Mozart or something while you're like,
I'll send you a picture. I don't know if you can you put a picture up from there?
Yeah.
I think people are going to get a kick out of this. But yeah, man, it was all that and a bag of chips.
And the language, no problem. Like you could.
No, that was a bit difficult. A lot of people did not understand what it is we were trying to say.
Could you get
But,
by with French in terms of like Switzerland, or is it?
I mean, it was either Swiss German or I think what was it, Swiss German or Austrian? I don't even know. I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
it was like
And you couldn't
it's
use
almost
your Arnold
very
accent. You couldn't like say this is
no, not
fantastic.
yeah. Actually, that was pretty good. That sounded amazing. How good are you at that?
I have
I'm
some
gonna send you
Austrian
one.
friends.
Do you? I'm gonna send a picture over there. But yeah, I mean, one day the weather was like 60 degrees and it was just absolutely, beautiful. You're in t-shirts and
It's
every
fantastic. I just had a selfie with Don Saladino. It was fantastic.
Here, I'm gonna send you this picture. You're gonna get a kick out of this. I'm holding a Irish coffee here,
Oh,
which I don't even drink. But because I typically don't like Irish coffees, and my buddy ordered an Irish coffee, and I'm like, oh my god, this is like warm. This is like hot cocoa. This is amazing.
when in Rome.
Yeah, it's just. I mean, that's kind of how I roll. Like I'll honestly, when I'm here, I don't do that stuff really, right?
No.
It's normally when I go
It's
to these
pretty
different
regimented for you.
Yeah, but like when I go to a different country, it's like when in Rome. Like I sent you 2 pictures. It's a perfect example that, oh my God, this is how they live. This is how they operate here. This is pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, the lunches, I mean, everything was just, and certain days you're coming down the hill and there's just this party going on. There's certain days you're coming down and there's this party going on and you're just like, what is this? Yeah, I'm sending you a video here. I can put this up. St. Anton here and just showing you some of the, what's really wild is I'm going to show you this picture of this picture here is of this is the St. Anton region ski area. You're going to almost see a little bit of a brown dusting. It looks like sand that's on the snow. I just sent it to you. Did you get it?
Let's see here.
Pull it up because this is interesting. It's called the Sahara Sand. And they said it was the sand blown in from the Sahara Desert. And it actually, carries all the way to Austria and it leaves this dusting on the mountain.
Let's see here.
Pull that up. I sent a video and I sent a picture. So I've sent 4 things.
Okay. You see that? So that's the photo. So what is that? That's from the Saharan desert. That's like a sandstorm that blew that way.
Yes. Yes. 100%.
Yeah. I remember seeing a video on YouTube just the other day where they said the sand blew all the way to London, England. That's crazy.
So this sand blew all the way to Austria and they're like, no, that's the Sahara Sand. And
wow.
It's, if you actually snowboard, so you see that trail there with all those people on it, those are obviously the groomers. Everything with the Sahara Sand on it is actually skiable, but the snow is getting thin in those areas because of the warm climate. They did a good job in blowing on the groomers. And I think it was so warm that it got really soft. So if you're going to ski in warm temperatures, I think it was almost ideal because it got nice and soft. It was safe. It was fun. It was just playful. It was different. It was just different. It was just a different terrain. Most people are always talking about being in powder up to your knees, and there's such an advantage of that. But when you're on a lift and you're not freezing your ass off and you're like, oh, wow, this is pretty awesome. And you're having lunch in a t-shirt and you're legitimately not cold. Derek, you would have enjoyed it also. Trust me. It's just one of those things like you don't have to be a skier to enjoy where we were.
Nice. Yeah, no, it's that looked impressive.
What about you guys? I mean, you guys are so close to one of the biggest skiers in the world, Whistler. There's actually an area that I think we decided to go to for Christmas called Revelstoke. Have you heard of it?
Yeah. There's definitely a lot of nice resorts, and obviously things are gonna have opened up a bit more this year, but I'm hoping next year is a bigger season. So
cool. Hoping to get on the mount. I'm hoping to get on the mount with you one of these days. I mean, our whole problem with traveling out to Whistler this winter was that after Vail, it was such a nightmare getting home.
Yeah.
with that 21-hour flight delay where we were stranded in the airport. The thought of my kids and all of us jumping on a plane and flying across the country again. And, you know, who knew what was happening in Canada? One of my friends is in the Canadian government, and he was like, you know, I don't know, like you should, you know, think about, you know, I'm not sure what's going on. And when we kind of got all that information, we just said, you know, let's just go up to Vermont and, you know, save the trip for another time. And
Yeah,
it is what it is.
when we went down to Seattle this past weekend, we had to do I think a rapid test to get back into Canada. So
Right.
we pulled up to a Walgreens, and all 5 of us, like, you know,
Yeah,
got tested, but we were
stabbing your
okay.
brain.
Yeah. So,
We
but that is now, as of today, you don't have to do a pre-test to get into Canada. So go figure.
when we were flying home, we had to get tested within 48 hours.
Oh, okay.
So we went down. There was a little, like, it was almost like an urgent care right in their town, and we ran in and we got tested and we left, and then they never really checked our information flying back in.
We didn't get checked at the border either, and thank goodness, because you know, I think we at the Walgreens we got free tests, right? But some of the places in Seattle I was looking at, you could pay like $100 per test. So I'm like, geez.
We paid 30 per test. Yeah, it's really, I feel like everything's very inconsistent. Even on the mountain, we didn't need any masks. We needed nothing. Suddenly one day in Austria, they were like, oh, it's upticking. It's spiking above, you know, the range where it's supposed to be. So everyone put on masks, and then we're getting on lifts not wearing masks. And then suddenly we get into a gondola, and a woman looks at my friend. We're all wearing masks, and she's like, "You're not wearing an N95." to my friend, she wouldn't let my friend get on the lift.
Oh, really?
So I just turned to my buddy and I waited with him, and then my buddies went up and came down and met us, and then we just went to lunch at that point. And then, you know, and then just the afternoon just became an absolute party. It was actually a week ago from right now. Yeah, we were at dinner at this time. It was 6 hours ahead. We were at dinner. It was Friday night. It was a fun day, Derek.
Yeah, well, we're all jealous, man.
Well, we don't need too many of those days. I don't need too many of those days, especially in the industry I'm in.
Do you have any other trips planned?
Yeah, I've got a job in the Turks and Caicos. The Amanyara is bringing me down to teach a couple of classes and do some one-on-ones for some of their, you know, for some of their clientele. And I'm excited because I've never been there. So again, it's kind of a very cool opportunity. I'm going to go down there for the kids' spring break. The kids are coming with me, obviously.
Nice.
They were, so we've got that. And then June, I'll be in Germany. I'll be in Munich speaking for Perform Better Germany for about 5
days. Oh, in Munich.
Days.
When is that?
Oh God, I gotta look at the dates. It's mid-June. It's like, I think I'm flying down there the 12th, 13th, something like that. I'll be there through that Saturday. I know Jordan Shallows meet me down there. He's gonna fly.
Oh, good. I'll connect you with, I have a friend. He works for one of the Bundesliga pro teams. He's a PT. He's a good dude. I'll connect you with him.
Would love to check it. Would love to meet him. 100%. So yeah, I'm excited for that. And what else? Then July, we've got the retreat in Mexico that we're hosting for a week, which will be great. The kids are coming to help me there. I always prefer when the kids travel with me. And that might be it for right now. You know, I know definitely Olympia will be end of the year. Sure, some more trips will be flown in there. What about you?
I have to go teach some track coaches in Edmonton at the end of April, so that should be fun.
Have you been to Edmonton? Have you been there?
I've been to Edmonton, but when I was like a track athlete, I would always go there. And in the winter, they have a nice indoor track there. And then I went there in 2001. They had the World Championships for track and field there, and I haven't been recently, but yeah. So we're gonna go there, and then probably do a professional development course here in Vancouver. I have a friend who owns a gym who does a good job. And so we're going to hold it there in June probably. And then hopefully I get out to see you at some point.
Yeah. I mean, see what happens with Cold Spring. Hopefully we could tie that in and make that, you know, double dip on that. I'm happy to help if you need any help on that. That could be fun. Yeah. Keep me posted on when you respond to Joe. They're really good people, really nice track up there too. Great turf.
Good facilities.
Really, yeah, really. The outdoor facilities are great. I think it's pretty new. Yeah, it's probably 3 miles from my house.
Oh, nice.
Three,
So we
4
could
miles
jog
from my
there.
house. Literally could. We could do some running. We could have David Kilgore come out. You know, my buddy who, the one who ran the Leadville
Yeah,
100.
we could make him do like 100 laps of the track or something to just watch.
Well, it was funny because he came out right before my trip, and we just wanted to like connect, and I'm like, let's go for a run. So we went to Comset. We did a little outdoor loop. It was like 4 miles. And I think we were running like a 7 and change pace. It wasn't anything crazy.
Yeah, casual.
Right? Casual. But it was hot and I'm sweating. And I turn around and I look at him and he's like bone dry. Bone dry. And then we came back and did some mobility. And he was like, oh yeah, Monday I'm running from Los Angeles to Vegas. And he actually he said for the first time in his career, he actually got injured on the run. He did the run last year and completed it. He was 3 or 5 people that completed it. He actually got hurt this year. So he had to stop. He was kind of bummed out, but he's like, listen, man, I've never gotten hurt. And, you know, it's been pretty great up until now. I guess it's going to happen here and there. I guess when you're putting that type of mileage on your body, you got to expect that shit's going to happen, right?
Somebody came to the course in Seattle and said, oh yeah, I'm going to do 100-mile run. And I'm like, you're not even the same species as me, man. Like, that's crazy. 100 miles. I can't believe that.
You know what's impressive about it though? It's like, as I started running again. So last year when I was doing that Omega Wave adapted running plan, you know, running on the True Form can be pretty boring, right? And I remember when I started running on it, I was like 15, 20 minutes in and I'm like, oh my God, this is just awful. And then I'm looking at, as the programming got on and on, some of my recovery runs were like 59 minutes, 103 minutes. And I was getting on there, and just at that point, I felt like my running condition was so good and so easy. You're just listening to music, you're maintaining pace, and you're running at a good clip. And then, you know, lay off running for a while. And just recently I got back into it and I'm starting to feel it come back, right? Like last night, as tired as I was, I'm starting to look down and I'm starting to see my miles per hour. The average is definitely up, and it was up by like a mile per hour from like a week ago. And you're like, okay, like this is pretty cool. And it's not as monotonous. And you're like, you just gotta keep practicing that stuff and keep throwing it in. I always feel worse when I stay away from running. Like running got such a bad rap for years. Like I always physically, my body feels worse when I'm not in good running shape. But it's just something that I realized I just can't discontinue doing. Even in hockey season, maybe a day a week where I just kind of maintain that quality a bit, right? Maybe it's just a recovery run that day, but I just feel like I need to have that in my life.
Yeah, I'm going to send you I'm writing my summer speed program for this summer, and it's going to be crazy because it's just 10-meter sprints, the whole thing. So we start with, you know, maybe 20 sprints, and then it's going to peak at 100 10-meter sprints. And the whole idea is it's going to build strength, speed, stamina in a very specific way. But that's what the program's going to be.
I'm going to do it. When can I start it? When's it going to be done?
I'll get it to you in May. So I got to shoot everything and set everything up, but it's going to be 12 weeks of insanity and repeat acceleration. So that's going to be perfect timing because I can actually travel with that. Yeah. 10 meters.
And I might drop my lifts. I might drop my lifts to like 3 to 4. I'll probably do it to like 4 days a week.
It'll help your lifts too. Even if you cut your lifts by 50% and you do this, you won't notice a difference with your lifts, right? Because it kind of occupies that same space. Like yesterday I went out and we did some outdoor runs. We did 30s, and I did 5x30 uphill, 5x30 in the flat, and a couple of more. My whole body is sore today because I haven't really done that for a while. I was kind of a bit sick there for a while, and so
I'm excited.
My whole body. Pecs,
so it's going to be. Is that going to be ready for sale in
mid-May?
In May. All right. So I'm gonna jump on that, and I urge anyone if they wanna jump in and do it with me. To look into your program. Where could they go find it?
Yeah, I'll start having it all set up on Instagram so people can get all the info there. And then all you need to commit is 3 days per week to do these workouts, and then you can fill it with your other stuff, right? But the whole idea is incessant amount of acceleration, so that you're just going to feel like your whole body's stronger. So
I can't wait. It's amazing how this program every year has just been evolving.
Yeah, it's, I took some ideas from you in terms of just how to put stuff together and shoot it and present it. And so that's been very helpful. And I think this is going to be one of the more practical ones. Like you said, you can travel with it. You can do it in your backyard. You can do it, whatever. And
3 days a week seems pretty doable too.
I think so. I want to make it practical. I'm not going to make it some ridiculous program that you can't follow. So.
All right. Well, I'll keep everyone posted on that. You and I will keep everyone posted on that. And good stuff today, man.
Yeah.